Holy smokes, it is no joke. For the stock market, this is going to be a huge week for the crypto industry. I'll run you through every event taking place this week. Furthermore, the Treasury Secretary warned us to keep an eye on tomorrow. I will clarify China's situation and what transpired there. Greetings, lovely individuals. Shalom, moneymakers. All I want from you is a lovely smile, some good energies, a smash of that like button, since likes are free. And let's get started. Last week, so finished on a high note, particularly for the crypto market, the stock market was also really good. Going into the weekend, we got paused a little bit today, Sunday fun day, because I believe the event of this week has caused some panic in certain, perhaps highly leveraged investors, and now they are receiving it given to them somewhat. We'll see how that works out. Looking over the schedule for this week, we can now see important events. Let me get to the other side. Let's start. Tuesday, correct? Not Monday? In just a second, we'll address what is happening on Monday. We received April CPI inflation statistics, which is fascinating because often CPI is on Wednesday, but they mess it up. Occasionally it's Wednesday, occasionally it's Thursday. That will therefore be quite significant. There have been weeks when we have CPI and a lot of liquidity has been taken off the table if individuals believe inflation is going to be rising, and then we observe a scenario where sell-offs occur, isn't it? Of course, though, we'll get to shortly. Be careful to see all the way to the end what can be extremely very positive for the markets. We also get the OPEC monthly report then on Thursday, Wednesday. That will be fascinating to observe what is happening there. The PPI is on Thursday. Usually, therefore, PPI follows CPI. This time, it's on Thursday, releasing. Powell, the Fed chairman, will also speak on Thursday. After all of this, we will know and see a little bit of a better direction what the Fed is going to do. At the moment, he has an 85% probability of doing nothing. He maintains it as is. From today, 5 weeks is the decision. On June 18th. The data that originates from here will determine how the markets react. Many individuals doubted how the Fed decision would affect the markets. As we observed, the crypto market began to move the day following the Fed announcement. We observed it began Bitcoin, XRP, meme currencies began rising. A lot of liquidity was seen entering the market. The stock market even showed a favorable trend at the week's finish. Many equities are up. Much of the recovery we've already observed since the low of that. It's the end of the world, gory Monday, and all those, headlines that were pouring out. Those who feared short stock market breakers, but that never materialized, we rode the wave and are now on the other side. And it will be fascinating to observe what plays out. Now, if we go and we look at what's occurring, we were getting from the White House some headlines stating White House believes more trade accords could be unveiled this week. So that's something we will be expecting and searching for. And naturally, that might always influence the market. But we also have Secretary Besant stating now from Switzerland, they're having meetings in Switzerland, that they have made significant progress in trade discussions with China. On Monday, we were providing specifics. So, we'll receive a little bit update on that for tomorrow. These past 2 days were quite fruitful. Differences are not as significant as once believed. Bullish, bullish, bullish. Isn't that so? When you find yourself in a scenario where most of the fear, let me make myself bigger for a second. When you find yourself in a circumstance that much of the dread in the market originated from the uncertainty, correct? We thus found ourselves in a scenario where Trump published the list following his Liberation Day. The figures on the list astonished many and caused significant sell-offs. Most of the sell-off was caused by the China scenario and the tariff on top of tariff, another top of another tariff. Since the 90-day pauses, the markets have quite nicely rebounded. But many are waiting to see what the largest economy, the second largest country, you know well, would be. Isn't it? Your perspective will determine it. You know, battling with one another is not beneficial for the markets. The markets disapprove of that. But if now they make love, not war, then the markets are going to be freed from all the worry from this, and then maybe investors will come in. Does that imply this will definitely occur? Not really. We still have to wait to see what will happen. But from the sound of it, it appears really positive, and we may see the market returning to where it was in January or at levels like that. Certainly, looking at the crypto market, this will likely coincide with when it was meant to run up, the quote-unquote banana zone, and it will be quite fascinating to see what could possibly occur here in the following 48 hours. From that, do we get anything really bullish? You understand? And much of the criticism that followed globally from the event could ultimately prove brilliant for Trump and his administration, but we'll have to wait and watch how it plays out once more. Not financial advice, as usual. Always conduct your due diligence before making an investment decision. The market's direction, up, down, or sideways, is unknown to me. News might change every day. A headline on China has shown us how much it can move the markets either direction. We must exercise extreme caution. The markets are still quite lively, and many people are using up. When you leverage up, there can be an explosive movement to the upside, but it can also go wrong very fast. To the negative, you have to be quite cautious out there. Good old Michael Saylor is now someone who buys regardless of circumstances. He tweeted out, "Connect the dots," correct? Every time he shares this graph, we receive a report the following day indicating that MicroStrategy or Strategy has bought even another quantity of Bitcoin. Michael is doing this again and doesn't care whether it's at 70,000, 60,000, 90,000, or 100,000. He works by his strategy. Some would label him insane. You have to give it to him, even if others would label him genius. He has a strategy. He doesn't deviate from his trading strategy. Of no consequence, he always follows the plan, and he purchases when he can. He doesn't mind what the real cost is. It's a fascinating idea. Many may argue, for example, that when I acquire an asset, I only purchase in the decline, or I only buy, when I'm seeing strong momentum, or I only buy in third. That is why I exclusively purchase in this manner or that. Every single individual has a little bit of their own strategies. Some individuals will hardly earn on winners. Others will lose